Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into the world of whiskey with a nostalgic twist. We're exploring 10 whiskey brands from the 70s that have faded into history. These were once the go-to choices at every bar and liquor store, but now they're nearly forgotten. So grab your favorite glass and let's get started on this whiskey time travel. Hiram Walker, Imperial whiskey, known for its smooth taste and rich history, traces its roots back to Hiram Walker, a businessman who founded his distillery in Detroit in 1858. He soon moved operations across the river to Windsor, Canada, primarily due to prohibition movements gaining momentum in Michigan. His focus on quality and craftsmanship led to a diverse range of spirits, with Imperial whiskey becoming a notable brand by the mid-20th century. In the 70s, Imperial whiskey enjoyed significant popularity in America. It was a time when whiskey ruled the spirits market, and Hiram Walker's offering was positioned as a premium product. Its appeal in the 70s was linked to its smooth blend, which was aged for 8 years, longer than many competitors. This aging process gave Imperial whiskey a refined flavor that was both accessible and highly regarded among whiskey enthusiasts. Despite its success in the 70s, Imperial whiskey began to lose its foothold towards the end of the decade. The late 70s saw a shift towards lighter beverages, with vodka and rum becoming more popular due to their versatility in cocktails. The economic downturns of the late 70s and early 80s affected discretionary spending on premium spirits. Hiram Walker & Sons went through several ownership changes, which led to shifts in business strategy and less focus on the Imperial brand. Fleischmann's Preferred, a blended bourbon whiskey, found its stride in the American market during the 70s. This period was ripe for the whiskey industry, and Fleischmann's, with its rich history dating back to 1870, capitalized on the era's vibrant social and cultural milieu. The 70s in America saw a resurgence in the popularity of bourbon. Amidst this, Fleischmann's Preferred became known for its smooth taste and affordability, making it a popular choice among a wide range of consumers. During this time, the brand was part of the larger Fleischmann Distilling Corporation, a pioneer in the production of yeast and various distilled products. Fleischmann's Preferred was often advertised as a quality product at a reasonable price, which resonated well with the economic climate of the time. The 70s were marked by inflation and economic challenges, making affordability an appealing selling point. Despite its popularity in the 70s, Fleischmann's Preferred gradually faded from the public eye. By the late 80s and early 90s, the market dynamics had shifted. The emergence of premium and craft spirits drew attention away from mid-priced brands like Fleischmann's. Additionally, changes in consumer preferences and the consolidation of the liquor industry contributed to its reduced visibility and eventual disappearance from the mainstream market. Cabin Still started as a Kentucky bourbon that gained fame for its quality and affordability. Stitzel Weller Distillery, a name renowned in bourbon history, created Cabin Still. The distillery itself was established in 1935 by Julian "Pappy" Van Winkle, a legend in the bourbon industry. Cabin Still was one of their value-oriented brands, designed to offer the rich taste of Kentucky bourbon at a more accessible price point. During the 70s, Cabin Still became a household name in America. The bourbon was known for its distinctive flavor, which came from a unique aging process in new charred oak barrels. This process imparted a deep, rich flavor that was both smooth and robust. Cabin Still was often marketed as a working man's bourbon, appealing to a broad audience with its combination of quality and affordability. However, by the late 70s and early 80s, Cabin Still began to fade from public favor. Several factors contributed to its decline. Firstly, the overall consumption of bourbon in the United States started to decline as consumers shifted their preferences towards lighter spirits like vodka and rum. Additionally, the Stitzel Weller Distillery underwent significant changes in ownership and management, which affected the production and distribution of Cabin Still. Old Quaker was not just a brand, it represented a significant chapter in the American whiskey industry. Founded in the early 20th century, Old Quaker whiskey carved a niche for itself, especially during the 70s. Known for its distinctive bottle with the image of a Quaker, the brand symbolized quality and tradition. The 70s marked the golden era for the Old Quaker. It was a period when American whiskey saw a surge in popularity, and Old Quaker was at the forefront. The brand was particularly noted for its bourbon and rye varieties, which were staples in many American homes. Distilled and bottled by Schenley Industries, one of the largest liquor conglomerates at the time, Old Quaker was a symbol of American craftsmanship in whiskey production. During its peak, Old Quaker was known for its smooth taste and affordable price, making it a popular choice among middle-class Americans. It was a common fixture in liquor stores across the country and was often a go-to brand for both casual drinkers and whiskey aficionados. The whiskey was aged in charred oak barrels, which gave it a distinct flavor profile that was both rich and mellow. By the mid-90s, Old Quaker had virtually disappeared from the market. The brand was eventually discontinued, and its once prominent position in the American whiskey scene faded into history. I.W. Harper, a brand of bourbon whiskey, has its roots deeply embedded in American history, originating in the late 19th century. Created by Isaac Wolf Bernheim, a German immigrant, the brand quickly became synonymous with quality bourbon. By the 70s, I.W. Harper was not just a drink but a cultural icon, enjoyed across various strata of American society. During the 70s, I.W. Harper enjoyed its golden era. It was more than just bourbon, it represented a lifestyle. With its smooth taste and distinctive character, it was the choice at upscale bars and was often seen in the hands of celebrities and influential figures. The brand was particularly known for its marketing genius, using elegant bottling and clever campaigns that appealed to a sense of sophistication and class. In the 70s, I.W. Harper was among the top bourbon brands in America. It was a staple in liquor stores, bars, and personal collections. The brand was also one of the few American bourbons that were exported extensively, finding a significant market in Japan, where it became a symbol of Western luxury. By the early 90s, I.W. Harper had virtually vanished from the American market, remaining available only overseas, especially in Asia. The disappearance from U.S. shelves left many bourbon lovers nostalgic for the classic brand that once defined an era of American whiskey. Yellowstone whiskey, an iconic American bourbon, traces its roots back to the late 19th century. Named after the famous national park, it was first distilled in 1872 by J.B. Daunt, a descendant of a pioneering Kentucky distilling family. By the 60s, Yellowstone had become one of the top-selling bourbons in the U.S. The brand was particularly popular due to its smooth flavor and affordable price, making it accessible to a broad audience. The 70s also saw the rise of whiskey-based cocktails, and Yellowstone was often the bourbon of choice in many American bars. In the mid-70s, Glenmore Distilleries, known for its extensive range of whiskey brands, was managing Yellowstone. Under their ownership, production reached new heights. The distillery used a unique aging process that contributed to the whiskey's rich taste and aroma, setting it apart from competitors. Despite its popularity, Yellowstone whiskey began to wane by the late 70s. By the early 80s, Yellowstone's sales had dramatically decreased, leading to its disappearance from the mainstream market. In recent years, there have been efforts to revive the Yellowstone brand, leveraging its historic legacy to capture interest among bourbon enthusiasts and collectors.
Give us the L! Give us the L! Give us the L!
Rebel Yell Bourbon.
Rebel Yell whiskey began its story with a deep Southern heritage, first crafted in 1849 in Kentucky, a state known for its rich whiskey tradition. This brand, initially made exclusively for the Southern market, was named to echo the Rebel Yell battle cry of the Confederate soldiers during the Civil War, aiming to capture the bold spirit of the South. By the 70s, Rebel Yell found its stride, becoming synonymous with the era's push for individuality and breaking traditions. It was distilled and marketed by the Stitzel-Weller Distilling Company, renowned for creating high-quality bourbon with a distinctive smoothness, thanks to its wheat-rich formula instead of the traditional rye. This gave Rebel Yell a sweeter, softer profile compared to its sharper counterparts. The brand capitalized on the growing trend of leisure and luxury consumption. Advertisements often featured it as a premium, old-fashioned whiskey that was not just a drink but an experience. However, despite its popularity, Rebel Yell was still relatively hard to find outside the South, which added to its allure and made it a sought-after commodity for whiskey enthusiasts and collectors. Furthermore, the Stitzel-Weller Distillery, the birthplace of Rebel Yell, changed hands in 1972, leading to shifts in production focus and marketing strategies. These changes gradually eroded the brand's identity and presence in the market. James E. Pepper, 1776 whiskey, is deeply rooted in American history, with its origins tracing back to the Revolutionary War. The brand was established by James E. Pepper, a third-generation distiller from the Pepper family, who inherited the business from his grandfather, Elijah Pepper. The distillery was located in Versailles, Kentucky, which became renowned for its quality bourbon production. By the 70s, James E. Pepper 1776 had become a notable name in American whiskey. Under the banner, Born with the Republic, the brand celebrated its historical connection to the birth of the United States. It was known for its rich, full-bodied flavor that came from a traditional distillation process using copper stills and aging in oak barrels. During this period, the brand was a staple in bars across the country, and it was also exported to various parts of the world, enhancing its reputation as a premium American bourbon. It became associated with authenticity and heritage, appealing to those who appreciated traditional bourbon-making methods. The 70s also brought challenges for many American distilleries, including James E. Pepper 1776. The oil crisis and economic downturns led to decreased spending on luxury items like premium whiskey. Moreover, changing consumer preferences towards lighter spirits such as vodka and gin began to overshadow bourbon's popularity. The distillery eventually ceased operations, and the brand vanished from the market, leaving behind a legacy intertwined with American history. Old Forester, a brand with deep roots dating back to 1870, is recognized as America's first bottled bourbon. This whiskey became a symbol of quality and innovation under the stewardship of George Garvin Brown, a pharmaceutical salesman who revolutionized the industry by selling bourbon in sealed glass bottles to ensure consistency. The brand, named to honor Dr. William Forester, a prominent Louisville physician, grew rapidly due to its reputation for quality and integrity. The 70s marked a significant era for Old Forester as it navigated through a tumultuous period in the American whiskey industry. Despite the challenges of a changing market, with consumers shifting towards lighter spirits like vodka and gin, Old Forester maintained its relevance. During this decade, the brand was celebrated for its rich flavor profile, a testament to its robust production methods that included a proprietary yeast strain and a meticulous distillation process. The brand's resilience during this era can be credited to its adherence to traditional bourbon-making techniques, even as other brands experimented with new, often less time-consuming production methods. One significant milestone was the introduction of Old Forester Birthday Bourbon in 1971, a limited edition release that commemorated the birthday of founder George Garvin Brown. This release became a collector's item and helped maintain high brand loyalty among bourbon enthusiasts. Old Charter, a classic American bourbon, boasts a rich history dating back to the 19th century. Originally distilled by Adam and Ben Chapais in 1874, the brand quickly became synonymous with quality bourbon. By the 70s, Old Charter was well established and revered among bourbon enthusiasts across the United States. Its smooth flavor and affordable price made it a popular choice. During the 70s, Old Charter flourished as part of America's bourbon culture. It was a time when whiskey was not just a drink, but a cultural icon, symbolizing both tradition and rebellion. Old Charter was particularly noted for its 8-year aged bourbon, which set a benchmark for quality in the industry. The decade also saw Old Charter innovate with different aging techniques and mash bills, aiming to refine its flavors and appeal to a broader audience. The brand's peak years were marked by significant events that helped shape its legacy. In 1974, to celebrate its 100th anniversary, Old Charter released a special edition bourbon that was highly acclaimed for its rich taste and craftsmanship. This release helped cement its place in the upper echelons of American bourbons. Old Charter began to face challenges in the late 80s and early 90s. Eventually, Old Charter faded from the shelves, becoming more of a collector's item than a staple in bars across America. That wraps up our journey through the nostalgic world of 70s whiskey brands that have faded into history. If you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you won't miss out on more fascinating stories. Have you ever tasted any of these vintage brands? Drop a comment below and share your experiences or any hidden gems you think deserve a spotlight. And remember, keep exploring the shelves, because you never know when you might stumble upon a forgotten bottle with a history as rich as its flavor.